Poolside blues. Leo adjusted his whistle, the plastic cool against his clammy fingers. He'd envisioned splashing kids, beaming faces, and the triumphant shouts of, "I can swim." This was different. A semicircle of women, perched on the edge of the shimmering pool, regarded him with expressions ranging from mild amusement to outright skepticism. "So," Patricia Davis began, her voice sharp enough to cut through chlorine fumes. "You're the instructor. I thought they usually send college students. You look barely old enough to drive." Leo swallowed, his carefully rehearsed introduction dissolving on his tongue. I've been swimming competitively since I was 8, he stammered. And I'm a certified lifeguard. This is my 3rd year teaching. He omitted the detail that the previous 2 years had been strictly toddlers. A ripple of murmurs went through the group. Sarah Jenkins, a woman with kind eyes and a quiet demeanor, offered a small, encouraging smile. Leo latched onto it like a lifeline. "All right, mister." Patricia prompted, raising a perfectly sculpted eyebrow. "Maxwell," Leo supplied, feeling his cheeks flush. "Leo Maxwell." "Okay, so today, we'll work on basic water acclimation. Just getting comfortable in the water." He plunged into the shallow end, the initial shock of the cool water a welcome distraction. "Everyone in." The women hesitantly followed, their designer sunglasses perched precariously on their noses. Patricia immediately winced. "This water is freezing." Leo ignored her and demonstrated a simple floating exercise. "Just relax, let the water support you, and breathe." He closed his eyes, trying to channel his inner zen. When he opened them, he was met with a scene of near chaos. Patricia was sputtering, claiming to be sinking, while another woman was giggling uncontrollably, her legs paddling furiously. Sarah was the only one attempting the exercise, her brow furrowed in concentration. "Maybe," Leo said, his voice wavering slightly, "we should try something a little different." He already knew this was going to be a long, hot summer. Sink or swim. Kick from the hip, ladies. Engage your core. Leo shouted over the splashing. He demonstrated again, legs straight, tiny ripples fanning out from his feet. A chorus of groans answered him. Patricia Davis, perched on the pool's edge like a disapproving heron, adjusted her designer sunglasses. "Honestly, Leo, I'm not sure you're explaining this correctly. My hip feels like it's about to dislocate." Another mom, Brenda, choked on a mouthful of pool water. "Mine too. And I think I swallowed a bug." Sarah Jenkins, ever the optimist, paddled closer. "It's just a little awkward, Leo. Maybe if you showed us from underwater." Leo's stomach churned. Underwater? With a mouthful of chlorine? He swallowed hard, forcing a smile. "Okay, sure." He took a deep breath and plunged in, executing the kick perfectly. He surfaced, sputtering. "See? Like that." Blank stares greeted him. Patricia tapped her foot impatiently. "That was fast. And blurry. We need a slow-motion replay, preferably with arrows pointing to the relevant muscles." Leo dragged a hand through his hair, slicking it back. He glanced at the clock. Only 20 minutes in. 40 more to go. He envisioned himself trading his whistle for a mop, scrubbing the pool deck for eternity. The thought, surprisingly, offered a sliver of peace. Brenda coughed, hacking up more water. "I think I need a break. And maybe a defibrillator." Patricia nodded. "Yes, a structured break. Perhaps with a handout outlining the key muscle groups involved in the hip kick." Leo gripped the edge of the pool, knuckles white. He could do this. He had to. His reputation, albeit a fledgling one, was on the line. He plastered on another smile, the kind that felt like cracking porcelain. "All right, ladies, let's try this." He trailed off, the planned instruction dying on his lips. He needed a new approach. Desperately. Sink or swim, he thought grimly. He just wasn't sure which one was more appealing at this point. A helping hand. The chlorine stung Leo's nostrils as he tried to project an air of calm authority. He blew his whistle, the shrill sound bouncing off the turquoise water and the anxious faces of the moms. Patricia Davis, predictably, stood arms crossed, her expression a monument to disapproval. Are we actually going to learn something today, or just splash around like toddlers? She'd already barked twice. Leo swallowed, demonstrating a pathetic flutter kick that even he knew looked weak. We'll move to treading water after this, he said, his voice cracking slightly. A collective groan rippled through the group. Patricia, perched precariously close to the pool's edge, shifted her weight, her designer sandals slick against the damp concrete. Leo's stomach lurched as her foot slipped. There was a wild, flailing moment, a gasp escaping her lips, and the distinct sound of scraping sandal. He reacted without thinking. Dropping his kickboard, he lunged forward, his hand shooting out and grabbing her wrist. The momentum almost pulled him in, but he dug his heels into the rough concrete, his muscles screaming in protest. He hauled her back with surprising strength, righting her just before she plunged headfirst into the shallow end. Patricia stumbled, regaining her balance. Her face was flushed, her perfectly coiffed hair slightly disheveled. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The other moms gasped, murmuring amongst themselves. Finally, Patricia cleared her throat. Well, she said, her voice tight, that was unnecessary. Leo, still catching his breath, felt a surge of unexpected anger. Unnecessary. You almost fell in. You could have hit your head. She huffed, smoothing down her swimsuit. I had it under control. But her eyes, for the briefest moment, betrayed a flicker of something that wasn't disdain. Still, she conceded, her voice softening slightly, thank you. You have quick reflexes. The other moms were staring now, their earlier apprehension replaced with a cautious curiosity. Maybe, just maybe, Leo thought, he wasn't a complete disaster. Maybe he could actually teach them to swim, and maybe, just maybe, Patricia Davis wouldn't actively try to drown him. Making waves. Leo took a deep breath, the chlorine stinging his nostrils. Today was different. No more monotonous drills. He'd spent the previous night sketching out a plan, fueled by lukewarm coffee and desperation. He called it Operation Make Waves. All right, ladies, he announced, his voice cracking slightly. Today, we're aerobics. A chorus of groans rippled through the pool. Patricia Davis, arms crossed, looked particularly unimpressed. Leo pressed on, demonstrating a clumsy water jog. To his surprise, Sarah Jenkins was the first to follow, her movements surprisingly fluid. Now, Leo continued, trying to ignore Patricia's withering gaze, we're going to split into teams for a relay race. He rummaged in his bag, pulling out brightly colored pool noodles. The moms exchanged curious glances. The relay involved paddling across the shallow end on a noodle, retrieving a rubber ducky, and paddling back. Laughter erupted as noodles slipped and duckies proved elusive. Even Patricia cracked a small smile when Mrs. Henderson nearly face-planted trying to grab her duck. Sarah, however, was a force to be reckoned with. She sliced through the water, a competitive glint in her eyes. Leo watched, amazed, as she powered her team to victory. He hadn't expected such athleticism from anyone in the group. After the races, breathless and giggling, the moms gathered at the edge of the pool. That was, actually fun, Patricia admitted, wiping water from her face. Even though I almost ended up swallowing half the pool. She looked at Leo, a flicker of something akin to gratitude in her eyes. Thanks, Leo. Leo grinned, relief flooding him. The atmosphere felt lighter, the tension dissolved in the splashing and laughter. He caught Sarah's eye. She winked, and he felt a surge of something he couldn't quite name. Maybe Operation Make Waves was actually working. Heatwave romance. The heat shimmered off the turquoise water, turning the air above the pool into a hazy mirage. Leo blew his whistle, the sound swallowed by the general din of splashing kids and gossiping moms. Every single resident of the HOA, it seemed, had decided today was the day to seek refuge from the oppressive heat. He'd never seen the pool so crowded. "All right, ladies," he called out, louder this time, "let's try that flutter kick again." Patricia Davis, arms crossed, huffed. "This is ridiculous. I haven't done this since high school." Sarah Jenkins, however, was already kicking, her face determined. "Come on, Patricia. It's actually quite a good workout." She shot Leo a quick, encouraging smile. He felt a blush creep up his neck. By lunchtime, the kids had been coaxed out of the water with promises of popsicles, and the moms had commandeered a cluster of lounge chairs under the shade of a large umbrella. Leo, wiping sweat from his brow, started to pack up his equipment when Sarah called out, "Leo, join us. We've got enough sandwiches to feed an army." He hesitated, picturing himself awkwardly perched on the edge of a chair, but the thought of another lonely lunch in his sweltering apartment was less appealing. He grabbed a tuna sandwich and settled in. The conversation drifted from neighborhood gossip to the latest bestsellers. "I just finished The Nightingale," Patricia declared, fanning herself with a magazine. "Absolutely heartbreaking." "Oh, I loved that one," Sarah exclaimed. "Have you read Kristen Hanna's The Great Alone?" Patricia shook her head. "Too long for me." "It's worth it," Sarah insisted. "It's a modern retelling of," she paused, searching for the right words. "Of the romantic ideal of nature," Leo blurted out, then instantly regretted it. All eyes turned to him. Sarah's eyebrows rose in surprise. "Exactly. You've read it?" "And loved it," he admitted, feeling a warmth spread through him that had nothing to do with the weather. "Reminded me of Wuthering Heights, but with bears." Sarah laughed, a bright, genuine sound that seemed to momentarily eclipse the drone of the pool filter. "Wuthering Heights is my all-time favorite. Heathcliff is just so brooding." Patricia, looking slightly bewildered, took a large bite of her sandwich. "Well, I prefer something a little lighter. Give me a good beach read any day. But even pool party surprise." Leo adjusted his whistle, the plastic digging into his sweaty palm. 20 pairs of eyes, mostly expectant, a few skeptical, were fixed on him. Teaching the HOA moms wasn't just about freestyle, it was about managing expectations, deflecting gossip, and somehow, miraculously, keeping everyone afloat, literally and figuratively. Behind a strategically placed beach umbrella, Sarah Jenkins orchestrated the Leo Maxwell Appreciation Society. A hand-painted banner reading, "Best Swim Instructor Ever," lay folded in a tote bag. "Okay, ladies," she whispered, smoothing down her floral sundress, "remember, surprise. Patricia, you're in charge of the cake retrieval from Mrs. Henderson. It's lemon poppy seed, Leo's favorite." Patricia Davis pursed her lips. Lemon poppy seed? How did Sarah know Leo's favorite? She'd noticed Sarah lingering after lessons, discussing, what? Literature. Leo barely looked old enough to have read anything beyond a comic book. "Right," Patricia said tightly, grabbing her oversized straw hat. "Lemon poppy seed. Got it." The water aerobics portion of the class began. Leo demonstrated a modified jumping jack, his muscles straining under the afternoon sun. Patricia, struggling to keep up, saw Sarah laughing at something Leo had said, her hand lightly brushing his arm. A knot tightened in Patricia's stomach. It wasn't just the jumping jacks causing her discomfort. Later, during individual instruction, Leo spent an extra few minutes helping Sarah refine her backstroke. Patricia watched, her smile faltering. "Some people get all the attention," she muttered to Carol, who was attempting a clumsy breaststroke beside her. Carol, ever eager for gossip, nodded knowingly. As Leo wrapped up the lesson, a forced cheeriness permeated the air. The banner remained hidden, the cake untouched. The surprise, it seemed, was turning into something else entirely, a pool party of simmering resentments. Stormy weather. Leo adjusted his polo shirt, the starched collar already wilting in the humid air. Streamers drooped from the gazebo, their cheerful colors mocking his anxiety. This, surprise Leo appreciation pool party, as Sarah had called it, was escalating his heart rate faster than any freestyle sprint. He just hoped he remembered to thank everyone properly. He noticed the sky. Dark smudges were blooming across the azure canvas, like ink bleeding on parchment. "Looks like we might get some rain," he mumbled to Sarah, who was arranging a mountain of towels on a poolside chaise. Sarah glanced up, her smile faltering momentarily. "Just a little summer shower, I bet. We'll be fine." But she chewed her lip, a flicker of worry in her eyes. Patricia Davis, lurking near the snack table, seized the opportunity. "Oh, Sarah, always the optimist. Remember last year's little shower? Ruined the entire buffet." Her voice dripped with saccharine sweetness. Sarah ignored her and began directing volunteers to secure the inflatable flamingos. Leo, feeling useless and increasingly panicky, grabbed a handful of stray napkins and started stuffing them into a plastic bag. Then the sky cracked open. The wind howled, tearing at the decorations. The first fat raindrop splattered onto the pool deck, followed by a torrential downpour. Chaos erupted. "Everyone, inside!" Sarah yelled, her voice barely audible above the din. Leo saw a rogue beach umbrella cartwheeling towards the shallow end. Reacting without thinking, he sprinted, diving and wrestling it to the ground just before it crashed into a group of screaming children. "Leo, help me with the sound system," Sarah shouted, pointing to a set of expensive-looking speakers perched precariously close to the edge of the pool. Together, they hauled the equipment under the gazebo, their clothes plastered to their skin. The wind shrieked, and the rain lashed down, turning the pool area into a blurry, swirling mess. Patricia watched from under the awning of the clubhouse, arms crossed, a smug expression on her face. Let them clean it up, she thought. A night to remember. The last rumble of thunder echoed as a sliver of sun pierced the oppressive gray. Then, like a dam bursting, the clouds parted, and golden light flooded the pool area. Leo blinked, momentarily blinded. The inflatable flamingos bobbed serenely, no longer threatened by imminent downpour. A cheer erupted from the rapidly refilling lounge chairs. Sarah, ever the conductor, clapped her hands. "All right everyone, let's get this party started." Music pulsed from hidden speakers, and the air filled with the scent of chlorine and grilling burgers. Patricia Davis watched from under a wide-brimmed hat, a subtle smirk playing on her lips. Leo couldn't decipher her expression. Was it smug satisfaction or something else? Later, amidst the splash of kids and the murmur of adult conversation, Sarah called for attention. "We have a special announcement." She beamed at Leo, who felt a knot of anxiety tighten in his stomach. He hated being the center of attention. This year, Sarah continued, her voice amplified by a small microphone, the HOA is awarding the Best Swim Instructor award to someone who has gone above and beyond for our community. She paused, her eyes sparkling. "Leo Maxwell, please come forward." Leo, stunned, stumbled forward as applause thundered around him. Sarah presented him with a framed certificate and a gift basket overflowing with pool-themed goodies. He mumbled a thank you, his cheeks burning. He glanced at Patricia, but her face was unreadable. As the party wound down and the last of the attendees trickled away, Sarah approached Leo, her expression serious. "Leo, I wanted to thank you, personally." She paused, fiddling with the strap of her sundress. "You've been so patient and kind with everyone, especially the kids. You've really made a difference. And," she took a deep breath, "I have to admit, I've really enjoyed getting to know you." She looked up at him, her eyes shining in the fading light. "You're a good person, Leo. A really good person." Summer's end. The aroma of chlorine mingled with charcoal smoke as the last barbecue ribs sizzled on Mr. Henderson's grill. Leo, clutching his best swim instructor certificate, a surprise orchestrated by Sarah, felt a nervous flutter in his stomach that had nothing to do with public speaking and everything to do with the woman currently beaming at him. "You deserve it, Leo," Sarah said, her voice just loud enough to be heard over the murmur of conversation. The string light strung across the pool cast a warm glow on her face, highlighting the faint freckles dusting her nose. "You've been amazing with the kids." "Thanks," Leo mumbled, acutely aware of the other moms watching, their smiles knowing. Especially Patricia, whose expression he couldn't quite decipher. Was that approval? Amusement? Indifference? He swallowed, the question of Patricia's feelings suddenly feeling less important. I've enjoyed it too. Spending time with everyone." Sarah's smile widened. "Even me." Leo's heart skipped a beat. "Especially you," he admitted, the words tumbling out before he could censor them. He caught her eye, a spark igniting between them, mirroring the fireflies blinking in the twilight. The noise of the party seemed to fade. He leaned in, drawn by an invisible force, and gently touched her cheek. Sarah tilted her head, closing the distance between them. Their lips met, a soft, hesitant brush that bloomed into something warmer, more insistent. The taste of chlorine and summer lingered on her lips. A chorus of delighted murmurs rippled through the watching moms. When they finally broke apart, breathless, Sarah's cheeks were flushed. "Wow," she whispered. Leo grinned, relief flooding him. "Wow is right." He glanced at the emptying pool. "So, now that summer's officially ending, how about we make plans for a real date? No chlorine, no kids cannonballing, just us." Sarah's eyes sparkled. "I'd like that very much. How about that new Italian place downtown? I hear they have amazing tiramisu." "Perfect," Leo said, already picturing their first date, the possibilities stretching out before them like the endless summer sky. He risked another glance at Patricia, who was now chatting animatedly with Mrs. Henderson, seemingly unfazed. Maybe, just maybe, this unexpected summer romance was going to work out after all. The taste of Sarah's lips and the lingering scent of summer's end hung in the air, promising a new beginning.